Hello and welcome to With Winnie in Mind podcast. I'm Troy Basham along with Lanny Basham, and today we're talking about really the difference between mental management systems that you developed and the other mental, I guess you say competitors that we might have, sports psychologists, hypnosis. There's a scientific approach to the mental game as well. And we're sitting there having a discussion with someone in the studio, and they're like, well, what separates what you do from all these other mental gurus out there? And so, we started talking about that, and I figured, well, we'll just throw it out there to you, and you can kind of tell us what is the difference. I can give you my simple difference is that mental management is a method of an individual who created it, did it, won at the highest level, and taught other people to do the same thing, and has continued to teach it and have people be successful, run the same program that you did when you were competing. That's just kind of how I look at the differences, although that's kind of vague and simple. What would you say, what are the main things that separate what you do probably from other mental coaches?
Well, I think, who are the other mental coaches? One is sports psychologists and hypnotists, people like that. Who do people turn to when they've got a mental issue, a sport application, mental issue, and I think that let's just say that you've got the hypnotist, the sports psychologist, and some sports psychologists do hypnotism. Not very many, but but the ones that I know. Now, I'm all for anybody that helps anyone. So if hypnotism works for you, I'm all for it. Go for it. Do it. It's just that in my experience, working with elite performers, I just don't hear it very often that that hypnotism actually improved what their performance. I'm not saying that it doesn't for certain individuals, but it's just not something that is reliable about helping people improve their performance under pressure. Sports psychology is different from, obviously we're different from hypnosis because we don't do hypnosis at all. Sports psychology, on the other hand, is different from what we do, is because sports psychology is basically psychology based. It's basic, whatever you learn in college. You go to school, you get a PhD in sports psychology, and you're taught there by professors, and you craft a thesis, and with you obey their regulations, and you publish your program, you defend your program, you get your PhD, and then you go out and try to tell winners how to win. And honestly, I chose not to go that way. I could have gone that way when I had problems. I had a mental problem that kept me from winning the Olympics in 1972. And so my decision was, I want to know what the winners are doing. I want to know what the winners know. So I spent a couple of years on the phone. Back in those days, we didn't have cell phones.
You didn't have internet.
We had answering machines. And so what you did is you got the name and the phone number of Olympic gold medalists. I would call their number, and I almost never got an answer. But I got their answering machine, and I would basically say, "This is Lanny Basham. You don't know me, but I'm a silver medalist in the Olympics, and you're a gold medalist, and I need your help. Please call me back." And with that simple phrase, they always did. And they would call me back, and they would call me back because of who I was. I was a silver medalist in the Olympics. They were willing to give me some of their very valuable time because I had been to the Olympics and I had won something. and that made a difference for them. I think I got information that no journalist could get or no sports psychologist could get, because I had been to the show and I had actually won something. And so they were willing, they were quite forthcoming and helpful, and everyone was wonderful. Nobody had the whole story, but everybody had a piece of it. And so I just did enough calls over a period of time to see a pattern develop. I saw there's a system to this, and I crafted that system together and upgraded to it, and my goodness, it made a huge difference in my performance. After that, I won the world championships, I won 3 world championships, and won the Olympics the next time out, and then won the world championships again after that. But pretty much it was a game changer for me. And so I'm thinking, well, if it's game changer for me, it's probably a game changer for a lot of guys. And that's how mental management got started. And I didn't look at sports psychology for my answers. I'm not saying that sports psychology is the wrong place to go. If you're helped by sports psychologists, I think that's great. I mean, I've got friends that are sports psychologists that help people. But honestly, I have to say that most of the ones that are helping people, if I were to ask them this question, is the way that you help people, did you learn that in school, or did you learn that by working with your clients? I would say that if they're honest about it, most of them would say that the majority of the ways that they're helped, they were helped by finding out what works by working with people. If you've got a sports psychologist that's worked with people, say longer than 4 or 5 years, and is still doing it, then they're probably learning from their clients and adapting, just as what we're doing. So in other words, there's a client-based method, learning from competitors that win, and there's the school-based method, learning from professors that study things. Now, there are times in my courses where I quote research that's being done by sports psychologists. So I mean, obviously, the research that they do in schools and things like that, the grant studies and things like that, are helpful to anybody. And I think that's the major difference between mental management and other methods are twofold. First of all, that we are 100% competitor based. This is a way that you to know what the winners are actually using, and the second thing is it's taught by people that have actually competed, or have either shown some credentials and in terms of actually winning with this method, or they've actually taught this method to people who have won, and that's the difference there. And I think that pretty much is my opinion of that.
So basically, someone who developed something that had been somewhat successful, used what they came up with, in your case, mental management, applied to the sport, and totally changed and elevated their results of what they did. And then you've done the same, gosh, how many decades? 4 or 5 decades now? You've been...
Well, if the Lord lets me live one more year, I'll have been doing this full time for 50 years next year.
And so helping athletes and professionals achieve greater things than they did before based on your method that you used as a performer moving forward. And I think that has a lot, of impact on people. It's like, okay, I'm learning from someone who's not only created this, but he used it himself. And then there's a list of people that he's helped, and he's been in business for 50 years. I would say that I probably need to listen to that individual. There's something to be said. But there are, if you look at 1970, and now we're 2024, moving into 2025 here, you're looking at vast improvement in the mental game as a whole. I think we went through, if you go look from 70 to current, I know we've seen this in many different sports. We've seen an elevation or evolution, if you will, from a coaching standpoint. Coaching started getting better, and more people started doing a better job of coaching. Definitely you've seen that in the golf world. Equipment got better. Technology advances, equipment gets better, and that helps people advance their skill set. I think the one thing that's lagged behind is the mental game, but it is nice to see that more and more people in the last decade have been taking close attention to it and paying attention to it.
Well, mental management. I won a gold medal with mental management in 1976. Sports psychology didn't show up to the Olympics until '84. But since 1984, we have had, and every year, the interest in mental training has grown. I've never seen it plateau. I've never seen it sag. It's not a fad that's going to go away. It is. It's here to stay. And everybody, if you're not paying attention to the mental game, you are for sure going to be beaten by people that are paying attention to the mental game these days.
Yeah. So hopefully this was helpful for y'all as far as the difference between mental management, what we do, and other methods of the mental game. And we hope you liked it. If you do, hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you next time.